Well, it's the anniversary of 9/11 today. And so, of course, this is Rudy Giuliani Day in New York, at least if you ask Rudy Giuliani. And lest we forget, some of the most powerful and famous people in America had some very strong opinions about why roughly 3,000 of our fellow Americans and citizens from, as I recall, nearly 100 countries. I mean, I don't know if there were citizens from 100 countries, people who hailed from, any of them American citizens. Anyhow, this was a very broad swath of America was killed in the Twin Towers on 9/11. Not to mention the strike on the Pentagon and the plane that went down on the field in Pennsylvania that in all probability was headed for the White House, which is why George Bush was hiding out in Florida, in my opinion. Not that he knew that that was heading for the White House, but he figured, hey, it's like something's up and it probably has something to do with the White House. So some of the most esteemed, respected, high-profile commentators in the United States were Pat Robertson and Jerry Falwell. And they immediately, right after, I think it was the day or two after 9/11, took to the airwaves to share with us how it was 9/11 happened because in this country we allow gays to be gay, we allow women to get abortions, we allow women to vote, and I don't know, something else. Well, you can listen for yourself and figure this one out, see if it makes any sense. I'm curious your take on it. And Pat Robertson's still on the air, still holding to these views. Jerry Falwell's passed into the light, and he's hopefully now awakened to the fact that we are all one and that he was such a silly guy on earth. But anyhow, here they were 11 years ago.
What we saw on Tuesday, as terrible as it is, could be minuscule if in fact God continues to lift the curtain and allow the enemies of America to give us probably what we deserve.
Well, Jerry, that's my feeling. I think we've just seen the antechamber to terror. We haven't even begun to see what they can do to the major population.
The ACLU's got to take a lot of blame for this.
Oh, yeah.
And I know I'll hear from them for this, but throwing God successfully with the help of the federal court system, throwing God out of the public square, out of the schools. The abortionists have got to bear some burden for this because God will not be mocked, and when we destroy 40 million little innocent babies, we make God mad. I really believe that the pagans and the abortionists and the feminists and the gays and the lesbians who are actively trying to make that an alternative lifestyle, the ACLU, People for the American Way, all of them who tried to secularize America, I point the finger in their face and say, you helped this happen.
Well, I totally concur.
And there's Pat Robertson at the very end. Well, I totally concur. So, because these groups help secularize a country that was birthed in being a secular nation, where twice in our Constitution we assert we are not a religious state. We are not a theocracy. There shall be no religious test for anybody, for any job in or position with any government. And the position of the United States with regard to the establishment of an official religion is no. We are a secular state. We were formed as a secular state. We were created as a secular state. Jerry Falwell and Pat Robertson come out and say, God punished us with 9/11 because the homosexuals and the lesbians and the People for the American Way and the ACLU and the, try to secularize America. And what amazes me is that 11 years on, and even at the time, there was this, how can you say this? But part of the how can you say this response did not, by and large, in the corporate media in America, and I was paying attention, did not say that did not react to that very last part, that Fallwell was saying that the whole reason that this happened, that God allowed 9/11 to happen, was because we had become a secular nation. These guys were arguing for theocracy. They were arguing for a government run by the religious, where the highest authority, excuse me, I'm sneezing. They always come in threes. The highest authority in the United States would not be the Supreme Court, would not be the president, would not be the Congress, but would be a religious body that oversees things, or that our laws would be constructed in such a way that the Supreme Court would have to enforce religious law. This was their pitch. And there was nobody seemed to catch that. And that's still their pitch. As I said, Fallwell's gone on to the great beyond, but this is still their sales pitch. Listen, you guys want a theocracy with a veneer of democracy underneath it? You want a country where you can have a president? Sure, and everybody can vote to elect him. You can have a parliament. Everybody votes to elect them, the equivalent of a House and a Senate. Sure, no problem. You can have local democracies. You can have a Supreme Court. But at the very top of the whole thing, there's this group that has the final say on everything, and it's a small group of religious people, the Jerry Falwells and the Pat Robertsons of the nation. If you want to see a country like that has been operating on those terms since 1979, take a look at Iran. Jerry Falwell, Pat Robertson, and the whole bunch of these theocrats who are still doing this, right? Let's put creationism in our textbooks. Let's teach that evolution is just this theory. Global warming isn't really happening. People used to ride around on the backs of dinosaurs. All this stuff. These people are all calling for theocracy. Involve the government and religion. You got the governor of Maine, the governor of Virginia, the governor of Florida, the governor of Texas. The biggest, Bobby Jindal, down in Louisiana, saying, let's give state money to religious schools. Clearly a violation of the Constitution and the intent of the founders. These people want the United States to turn into the Christian version of the Islamic Republic of Iran. And increasingly, the people of Iran don't want the Islamic Republic of Iran. They held an election a couple of months ago, and they elected the most liberal guy running. Now, again, it's a theocracy. The mullahs didn't let the real liberals run, but so the most liberal guy running was sort of a kind of Bill Clinton, middle-of-the-road Democrat kind of guy. And I guess we sort of do that here, too. It's the major parties tend not to put forward really... Well, actually, they do put forth severe candidates. The Republican Party had John McCain. Democratic Party once had George McGovern. So occasionally they slip through. But in any case, the point is that he was overwhelmingly elected. The people of Iran don't want a theocracy, by and large. They want a modern, thriving, secular, pluralistic country. And yet we've got people in America who call themselves Americans, who call themselves patriots, who want to turn America into a theocracy. And meanwhile, in the midst of this, the rich are cranking the whole thing. I'll tell you about that after the break.